Okie dokie. So we're live, I think. Hey everyone. All right. So we have gone live. Hey everyone. All right. First of all, Happy New Year to everyone. And welcome back to our Medmentor weekly live sessions with me here, Tafsir. I am part of the Medmentor team, and today we'll be answering your questions about anything to do with the medical schools, interview process, application process in general, what life is like as a future medical student for some of you guys, and so on and so forth. So if you guys have any questions, please do drop them on the chat, on the comment section or the question cards. Send them in, and I'll try my best to answer them the best I can. I have some experience with applications, having been a UCL medical school interviewer for the last 2 to 3 years. I've also been part of the UCL Target Medicine mentorship scheme for the last 6 years, helping year 12s and 13s get into medical school. And obviously been through it myself, and have friends and other mentees who have done so as well. So I've got some experience to impart on you guys if I can. Hopefully some of you have joined our previous Medmentor sessions, weekly sessions, where hopefully you could see how much benefit our answers could bring you. And do have a look on our Instagram page for our previous Insta lives. We've saved them as IGTV lives. So have a look at those to catch up if there's any questions that interest you from that. Hey Ali, Happy New Year to you as well. Thank you all for joining us. Alan, Dr. Atilophobia, Malika, Pavans, Sangha. Hi all, another aspiring medic. Good to see you again. Ryan, Mez, all right, brilliant. All right, well, give me a little wave if you can see me, and pop your questions below. I want to answer as much as I can today, and I've just got a little bit of a cough and a sore throat, so bear with me as well when I'm getting through it. All right, so we've got our first question that's coming. The question, oh, brilliant, another aspiring medic as well as chucked on, so we've got two. So we'll start off with Armex.x. So what will happen to us year 12s who can't get work experience or voluntary work? Okay. So we are in still the midst of a pandemic and the second/third wave, right? So work experience is going to be very tough for you guys to come by. However, voluntary work virtually will be easier for you guys to come by, just because from the natural way things are, we need more help in the voluntary sector and the charity sector. And so do have a look online if there's any schemes available for you to volunteer in, if you so wish to. For example, Age UK in the first pandemic were asking for people to join them to basically call elderly people who were living alone, obviously isolating away and shielding. And that was quite beneficial to a few people that I knew got involved with that scheme. So, for example, look at Age UK if they're doing something like that. I know Mind and various mental health services are very stretched for obvious reasons right now. And so I definitely encourage you to have a look on the charity sector for voluntary work virtually rather than in person. When it comes to work experience in like hospitals, GP practices and stuff, obviously I'm not too sure how we can go about it, and how likely you are to get clinical contact time, because even for medical students like myself, that is becoming more and more limited for people's own safety more than anything. I think what you can hopefully by the summertime, like it was last time around, things would have cleared up a little bit more, or much more, hopefully, and then you will have an opportunity to do in like real life work experience. So I definitely look forward to that. And in the lead up to that, maybe as things in the pandemic are kind of slowing down, maybe then you can start emailing people if you haven't got in contact with doctors already about work experience in the summertime. So do have a look at that. In overall, I think the pandemic 1 year plus scenario for you guys who are going to apply for 2021/22 will impact your applications, and admissions teams will know that, and hopefully will give you more leniency with work with experiences. However, it doesn't mean that you rest on your laurels. That's when they encourage you to be reading books around the topic of medicine, reading more health articles, podcasts, YouTube videos, loads of stuff out there for you to kind of engage and show interest in medicine, because work experience isn't the only way to go about doing that. Although I can tell, like, it's a very difficult time for you guys. I think those who are in year 13 next year, so current year 12s, I think you'll be in a different sphere to what the previous year did. So, for example, the previous year, I think there might be less leniency, or I'm not sure. I'm just kind of like just making general observations that some people would have had work experience prior to the pandemic for people who are applying this year. And so those people who are relying on year 12 summer last time round for work experience probably got it tough. When it comes to your years, the current year 12s who are about to apply, obviously everyone would have been in the same field of that, can't really get experience prior to year 12/year 11. So don't worry too much, and I'd encourage you to look at the different avenues of how to show your interest through your personal statement and interviews. X_. Hopefully I've been able to answer your question there to an extent. Let me know if you have any follow-ups or anything else I can help with there. And for ideas of what other things that are good in a personal statement, I definitely encourage you to look in our previous IGTV posts where we've answered them, and hopefully we'll answer a few today as well. X, you're very welcome. I hope I've helped you out a little bit there. Very good question. Thank you very much for it as well. Hey everyone, I can see you guys on the chat. Hey Asul, it's nice to see you again. It's been a long time, a couple of weeks now. Kay Smura, thank you for joining us. Hussein, Ali, thank you for your comments as well. Hey, nice to see you all. Woo, guys are putting a smile on my face. Keep them coming. So Alice, I will answer your question. Hold on tight to that one. And the one before that, another aspiring medic sent in a question as well. Ali, thank you for your comment down below. Certain unis have specified they're more lenient with work experience requirements, and that's good. And I'd hopefully that they stay true to that. I think with medicine, it's all about just. I'll be honest, it's all about what everyone else in your year group does and doesn't do. And if people are finding work experience, obviously then look around and realize that maybe you need to find something, but because you are ultimately in competition against other candidates. So I take everything with a pinch of salt and don't rest on your laurels. Try your best to find something that you can show your interest in. Hey guys, so we're on Instagram, we're on Twitter live, we're on YouTube live, we're on the Medmentor website live as well. So hi everyone across all those platforms, and get your questions in and I will answer them. I've got a few questions from the YouTube side and the website. So Ariana and Kitchery, thank you very much for your questions. I will address them just after I address this one by another aspiring medic. So another aspiring medic asked, how should we go about answering, what would you bring to our medical school? That is an amazing question. Thank you very much for asking that one, aspiring medic. So, okay, so that question is something that I asked myself almost like every day in interview prep when it came to my UCL medical school interview. It was more that it was a motivational question for me, and that's the way I'd I'd want you to look at it and approach all med school interviews is that they think I'm clever enough to get into their medical school and become a doctor because they've given me an interview. That's what an interview means. Now, more than that, they're looking for what type of doctor will I become and do I fit their medical school? And the best way to approach that is, what can I bring to their med school that people are missing out on, right? Like, why me and not someone else? And I think this question should focus on you yourself. You should avoid making comparisons to other people around your competition in general. I think it's very unique, this answer, to whoever it is. Now, for me, I think it's more that you can go about it using your extracurricular stuff. You can go about it using your passion for medicine and through your work experiences. You can go about it through just using superlatives and how like amazing you are. But I don't think you go about that. I think what I do is what would you bring to our medical school? So I'd say that I'd bring enthusiasm, because that's how I am as a character and individual. I'm very energetic. I bring a lot of positive energy to the med school and in the work that I do for the medical school, as well as hopefully for wider society in the profession that I'm going into. And that's something you want to mention, because at the end of the day, you're hoping to become a doctor. So what altruistic things can you bring? I'd want to show them that I can bring teamwork and leadership skills that maybe I can include in a societal way. So all the universities in the country have loads of societies. Societies are a big part of universities, and I'd encourage you to go on the websites and have a look at them and see what you might be interested in. And the reason why I say that is because, so for example, on my med school interview, I was like, yeah, I want to get involved in global health, which I did do in my medical school time. I got involved with Friends of MSF, the society, a couple of years down the line. But I originally looked at it before I applied, and I was like, yeah, these are things I'm interested in. I want to continue developing that interest. And that's something completely different that an interviewee would talk about, and something quite refreshing a lot of the time, because universities do look at extracurriculars quite a lot. They want to see you bring something that just someone else wouldn't be able to. So that's the way that I would answer it, in the extracurricular society way, just to be different and hopefully help you out there. When it comes to what would you bring to our med school through medicine stuff, sciences, working, you can talk about your hard work, your determination, resilience. That's something that a lot of medical schools look for. So use buzzwords like that and try and back them up with demonstrate, like how you demonstrated it in the past. So yeah, fine, I showed enthusiasm and positive energy. How have I done that in the past? Like, for example, in my school when I was in year 12 or 13, you might have been part of the prefect team. I was head boy, for example, and I was like, yeah, this is how I showed my school up. I did assemblies, I presented in public events, I fundraised for charity, and this is all that you're gonna get from me for the next 6 years at your med school. So woo, you should take me. Another aspiring medic. I hope I've been able to answer that question for you. That was a very good question, so thank you very much. Hey, I'm seeing loads of people join in, which is great to see. Thank you. So I see Becky, Amna, Lipstick. People are coming and going. So Alice, are you still? I hope you're there still. So Alice has asked quite a generic question, which is fine. Do you have any advice for your personal statement? So that's a huge question. There's so many ways to kind of break that question up. And what I'd say is, yes, I do have advice. And my advice is to, first of all, look at our previous IGTV lives when we've broken down different aspects of the personal statement, from work experiences, volunteering, extracurriculars, podcast content, stuff that you can listen, read to, blog posts that doctors make, podcasts that in the science realm, what books you should read. Like, those are all different things that you need to intertwine in your personal statement. So my first advice for your personal statement is get ready with the content. And the way to do that is to actually develop an interest in medicine by being active with the content that you consume, the experiences that you gain in medical school, and volunteering roles and things like that. Because what you need to have is a lot on your personal statement. Or not a lot, like a good amount in your personal statement to show people that you're actually interested in medicine and you're not doing it for the sake of doing it. And that's the whole point of it. So bear that in mind. If you have any follow-up questions, feel free to ask. So that's it was quite it was a little bit of a generic question, so hopefully being able to answer it to an extent. Alice, thank you. Let me know. What kind of books do you recommend for wider reading? Alice, that's a great question. So if you go into medmentor.co.uk right now, we've got plenty of blog posts on our Medmentor website where we actually talk about books that we book suggestions in general. There's lists and some blog posts about a few that we'd encourage you to look at, and people were looking at themselves. I think a lot of people, like generic ones that a lot of people talk about. I read recently, or a couple of years ago, When Breath Becomes Air. That was a very good book. I read the Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks in preparation for like my med school, like personal statement and stuff. I read other books like Trust Me, I'm a Junior Doctor or something. That was quite a funny book. There's loads and loads and loads of books out there. Oh, hopefully I haven't dropped internet. I've dropped internet connection. Hold on, guys. Sorry, guys. I think internet connection dropped for a second there. I should be back. Okay, brilliant. So, yeah, what Alice had asked was, what books would you recommend? And the books I'd recommend, I said, go onto the Medmentor website to have a look. I think, what other books? Yeah, and listen to audiobooks as well if you want to these days. Something that's kind of off the cuff that I'm currently, that I just finished reading was a book called Factfulness, which is like a global health book. So if you're interested in that part of medicine, feel free to look around it. I think there's a guy called Arthur Grande. I don't know, sorry. He's a really good author. He's written loads of books. He's a doctor as well, about philosophy, intertwining with medicine a lot of the time. And those are quite popular, I've seen recently. So do have a look at those. Hey guys, thanks for joining. All right, darkmed_x asked a question with question mark. So if you would like to expand on that question, please feel free to do so. All right, cool. So the next question I've got is from Nazifa. Thank you for your question, Nazifa. Very important question. So the question is, how do you manage your mental health in med school? So that's from my reaction, as you can tell, mental health and med school are very interesting to have in a sentence. So I think a lot of people go through, in general, a lot of stresses with their mental health when you go through med school, just because it's a very pressurized environment, and highly competitive, a lot of work to do, both in the profession and in your personal time as well. And I think medics are people who like to do a lot in general, so time management kind of goes into that as well. I think mental health normally gets worse for me personally closer to my exam times, and that's because just a lot rides on those exams for progression into the following year, and I do kind of, a lot of people do stress about that, and I think one way around it is by trying. There we go. Am I back? Hi guys. Yeah. So one way to manage your mental health in med school is by doing actual stress relieving activities, and that's why it's so important that you do have stress relieving activities in that they look for it in your med school personal statement, in your interviews, because they want to see that do you have mechanisms or potential mechanisms for you to deal with stress in med school so that your mental health doesn't deteriorate from normal things that go on. So that's you building some resilience, and whether that be through meditation, through exercise, through singing, through acting, like any type of Sumro. Yes, this is this Q&A will be saved as IGTV live, so do tune into that. So what I was saying, sorry Nazifa, was that yeah, so they're looking. You need to use your coping strategies, whether that be spending time with your friends and family as well. That's something. Whether that be you internally self-reflecting through journaling or like whatever way that you do have, those are very much encouraged. And I think med school encourages this sort of self-reflection, and they do so because we have a lot of reflecting, like writing pieces as we go through med school and through the profession. And this isn't something that the coping strategies that I've brought in, I'm gonna use throughout my medical school career, as well as my actual career as a doctor. And that's the most important thing for you to bear in mind in the back of your head. But yeah, so dealing with your time management, the content you need to cover, your commitments, that's an integral part at the heart of kind of sorting things out, so you don't just have things piling on. And then after that, you want to look at actual mechanisms of de-stressing, whether that be through social events or things that you do in your spare time that's got nothing to do with medicine. And I think a lot of people have that nothing to do with medicine aspect of their life more and more as they go through med school, because it's just so intense. Nazifa, I hope I've been able to answer your question there to an extent. Thank you for it. I see Nazifa, you've asked another question on the comments. I see I've got questions from other people. Hey, Pohe, nice to see you. Thank you for joining us. I think Roshan joined us earlier. Hi, Roshan. Jasma XO, hello. Jason, you've asked a question. I'm gonna address that in just a second. For the moment, I'm just gonna address a few questions that came in on YouTube and other things. Hi, are biomedical sciences usually in clearing? Yes, biomedical sciences are usually in clearing, depending on which university you want to go to. Generally in the UK, the top like 15, 20 universities don't have that many things in clearing, so do have a look out. But I'd encourage you to go look at the UCAS website, because they have a lot of information on clearing opportunities and stuff. All right, Kichiri, you have an interview next week. Now, let me see what you've said here. So Kichiri says, I have an interview next week. I'm very worried about that. Will they ask me any scientific deep question because I'm a graduate student in biomedical sciences? If your interview is not at Oxford or Cambridge, which I'm guessing is not because it's normally before January and they've probably already given offers, you do not have any specific scientific questions in your interview. You might have analytical questions, you might have questions about your personal statement, work experiences and stuff, but nothing that is academic in that sense. So no, don't worry about that. Ariana, I've got a question from you. I've been rejected from most of my choices for medicine, so I just don't want a backup option in case. Hey, I'm sorry to hear about that, and you'd be surprised, but I think that's quite a normal thing just because of how competitive medicine is. Good luck with your reapplication for university and clearing, but there's plenty of backup options there. And there's loads of, I definitely go on the UCAS website, and there's loads of other content out there about clearing opportunities, adjustment, taking gap years, reapplying for university degrees. I'd encourage you to look at those things and research really well. I know quite a few people who have been in your similar position, and it was just all about them working hard to find the right opportunities to get into a different degree. And just for you to know, a lot of people who apply for medical school don't get in, unfortunately, especially in the first and second, even second goals as well. And that's not an issue because there's loads of other opportunities out there for you. And so it just depends on you researching what those opportunities are, and you can take them up. And I know loads of friends that did biomedical sciences just because they couldn't get into med school and they wanted to still go to university and and go into a different type of profession in science. So yeah, I definitely encourage that. All right, good luck with your application, Ariana. Hope I've helped with answering your question there to an extent. Okie dokie. So I've got more questions on Instagram. Nice to see. Let me address them. Hi everyone for joining. Thank you for joining us. Okay, so the question I have is, from I am on. All right. Another aspiring medic, you're very welcome. I'm happy to hear that my perspective on extracurricular and stuff helped you with that one. Into med school, hello, Alice, glad to hear. Nazifa, when breath becomes air, being mortal, the man who mistook his wife for a hat. This is going to hurt. Those are great. That's great few suggestions for books. Thank you for commenting them below. Thank you for helping us out, guys. Yeah, if you guys have insight to on some of these questions, feel free to drop them below. It's like how a patient with their disease knows more probably about their disease than even the doctor does, if they've been suffering for a long time, because that's how life is. And so for you guys applying right now, you guys know a lot of things that I don't know. So please do impart your knowledge below. I'd really appreciate that, and I think others would as well. So yeah, thank you for that. All right, Jason. Jason goes, regarding medical ethics questions, oh, everyone hates those. Would you verbally go through all the pillars? So, example, say regarding autonomy, regarding beneficence, regarding non-maleficence, I can never say that, and justice. Yes, Jason, I would go through the relevant pillars of medical ethics, pardon me, sorry. And those relevant medical ethics pillars is what I would mention. So for example, if justice doesn't mean anything here in this question, in a question here, then I would probably say nothing about that, but I just say, so going through medical ethics, the pillars of medical ethics of this and this, and applying it, I would say, I would then apply it through this. So that's a really good to do, because it shows you're working out kind of, and the football that you're having in your brain when you're answering this question, and that's what the interviewer wants to see. So good suggestion, and I would suggest you do that. So well done. Yes, this Q&A is saved as an IGTV live, so if you guys want to refer back to it later, feel free to do so. All right, Jasmine. All right, Jasmine. Do you have any tips for group interviews? Oh, that is very interesting. I've never had a group interview when it comes to medicine. However, I've had group interviews and other things previously. What I'd say is you don't want to look like one of two things. You don't want to look like someone who's not involved in the group team working activity or the interview at all. You don't want to be quiet or silent, because you'll just go under the radar and that's it. Like they might not even register that you're kind of there. So you want to be active to a good amount. On the other side of it, you don't want to be so active that you take control of the entire interview or the group interview scenario, and then rub up the examiners the wrong way or other team members. So you need to have that delicate balance. I think a lot of the time, group interviews, if you have like a group working scenario, it's always good to contribute and think out loud, and try and facilitate other people's involvements as well. And I think something that I used to do is just take the role of the scribe. The scribe is someone who obviously just writes down the ideas or things that the group comes up with, and I do that a lot in a lot of group working scenarios, because I know then that a lot of the ideas kind of have to go to me, and I have to have some sort of input and conversation with the team. And that's the type of character I am. I like to be engaged in whatever I'm doing. So I think that's the cheat code to it. If there is a possibility to be a scribe, please do be a scribe. Other things is, obviously, you don't want to waffle for no reason. If you clearly have no idea what's going on and you're trying your best to waffle through it, people see past it. So make sure your ideas that you bring to the table can be justified by you and aren't random and aren't things that you're doing just for the sake of it, because that can be seen right through, and we don't want to see that. But more than anything, try and make sure that the group team ethics is still going well, and make sure you're having some input, because you will be marked against some sort of criteria in the group working scenarios, or you'll be looked at in a way from the examiners or the interviewers. All right, that was a good question, Jasmine, and I hopefully I've answered that to Nathan. Nazif has asked, did any of you guys get into UCL Target Medicine too? I hope some of you guys have applied and gotten in. UCL Target Medicine is amazing. I've been part of it for the last 6 years as a mentor, and obviously I'm leaving this year because I'm hopefully finishing medical school, and it is a really good course just for you guys to be involved with med school entrance stuff, and hopefully there's a lot of medical students like myself and loads in the Medmentor team that can help out in your application, your personal statements and stuff. Good. But yeah, any outreach schemes you guys qualify for, please do have a look and research online and do apply. Hey Anne, it's good to see you. Hello guys. Hi Rehan, Enas. UCAS Extra, that's a very good, I did not know that was the actual thing, another aspiring medic. Thank you very much for that. Really appreciate it. Yeah, not many people know about it. So I think UCAS Extra is when you go and you actually have a look at university, like degrees and careers and clearing stuff. Oh, I'm having a look right now. Yeah, just Google search it. And if you're struggling for offers or backups, do have a look at that. And Anne asked, do you think the med schools be more lenient with grades as it's now teacher assessed? And this whole education system is such a mess right now. I'm sorry for you guys going through it right now. I can only just say sorry because it's so sad. I'm not sure. I'll be honest with you. I don't think so, Anne. I know medical schools will be lenient on widening participation applicants, so people who meet the widening participation criteria and maybe apply for those type of courses or for those type of grades, and they will be lenient to a certain extent, and they have it on their website. They won't be more lenient than even that. So if you're looking for leniency, do have a look if you meet those criterias. But in general, they look for 3 A's minimum, most medical schools. Some now look for A-star AA, and they will probably stick to that. And the reason why they might not be lenient with teacher assessed grades is because last year they've already had it. They kind of know a lot more what to expect. And I think teacher assessed grades meant that a lot more of the population got A's and A-stars last year. So I don't think that people are being starved of those high grades unless it goes the complete other way and loads of people are getting like underscored. I think medical schools will not be more lenient, and I think they might even be less lenient because of the fact that so many more people are getting A's and A-stars because it's teacher assessed and that's what they're getting. Situation we're in. And that was a good question. Good luck with it. Well, I feel that's fine. Thank you guys. Hey, thank you guys for joining. And you're my mentee, Team Black Class. Hey, and oh my God, hey. Nice. Thank you for joining us. Oh man, I didn't realize I can't really see people's faces. So no, that's cool. Cool. Hey, and thank you for remembering me. All right, cool. Next question. Quite a few people in my year want to apply for medicine. A lot of them rely on me to hunt down med opportunities and give it to them. What should I do? Dr. Atelophobia, you are very active. Hey, Dr. Atelophobia, it's nice to see you again. You've joined us in the last few sessions and you've been helpful to us as well, so thank you. What I say to that question is yes, help them opportunity. As long as you're not being negatively affected by it in like a personal way, then I don't think that you have. I myself, we basically during lunch times we formed like a group, and we had like a Facebook Messenger group of just students who are applying for medical school, and I kind of I was quite actively involved, and I could probably say that I was one of the people who like encouraged it and put opportunities on our group chat and in the lunch times as well when we talked about things. And I didn't think twice about it, just because I'm not in competition with these students in my school. I've only ever thought that I'm in competition with myself to get the grades and the experiences and the things to get into med school. Obviously people look at it, depends on which side of the coin you want to look at. So I would encourage you to be, if people are asking for opportunities that you've come by, you should share them if you want to. But obviously, it's a personal thing. No one's going to force you to do it. If it comes to things like they want something and they can't be asked to do it or get it themselves, that's something else in general. And I think as a mentor, I've seen that it's not good to give people just things and do it for themselves. So, for example, if a mentee of mine was like, oh, I don't know what the entrance exam required for the UCAT is, not for the UCAT, for like King's Med School, for example, I could easily say it's the UCAT. Fine, that's not a problem. But then if they ask me what sections are in the UCAT, what do I need to do to revise for it? What do I need? Exactly all these little questions. I say, you come back to me answering those questions as much as you can through your research. And then any other questions that you weren't able to answer from your research, then I will answer more of them and help you out. And I will still signpost them to those websites to get that information from. So Dr. Athlophobia, you don't have to give everything in a plate. I think this applies for loads of stuff in general. I think it's more that signpost people for opportunities if they require it and get them to make sure they do it themselves, because obviously this is not their life that you're reading. Cool, Dr. Atlaphobia, I'm very happy that you are being active, so that's brilliant. Hi, shush, through 837. This Insta Live is about medical school applications and med school in general, and how to, and we're just helping you out, hopefully, with that. Hey, and oh, thank you very much. You are the best mentor. I'll take that. Thank you so much. Dr. Atlaphobia, got into med school medicine. I got into UCLMS medicine too. Oh wow, amazing. Doing a similar university near Murphy Higher. Oh, this coming Wednesday. Brilliant. Hey, nice to see there's loads of target mentees on this present. Phobia is UCL lower grades widening participation. You go on the UCL website, look at widening participation criteria, see if you meet it, and then what those grades are this year. Last year or the year before, the grades were it was either AAB or ABB. I'm not too sure which one it was. Sorry. So just have a look on the website. I remember the A specifically had to be in chemistry. So I'm thinking widening participation criteria for UCL Med School in 2019 entry was ABB. A had to be in chemistry. And they might change it or have changed it. I don't know. So have a look on the website for your year of application. But yes, so UCL does lower their grades for widening participation. And so do most university med schools now, because widening participation is now much widely recognized, and rightly so. And so in order to level the playing field, grade requirements are being lowered for those that meet those criteria. Something that I'd like you guys to look at as well is, like, if you look at, like, for example, the new med schools like Anglia Ruskin, they have a big scope of widening participation criteria. So just have a look on those before you apply to them. And I would strongly encourage you to see if there's a widening participation criteria that you meet, and to take those grades, because that's great. Like, if it's lowered, that takes your pressure off. It doesn't mean you're going to get like 3 Bs or ABB. It just means that the pressure is off, that you can go get your 3 stars if you like, but it doesn't make a difference, right? So have a look. Brilliant. I would encourage all of you guys to go on the Medical Schools Council website, MSc, and they have a document for each year of entry. And in that document for that year of entry, they have all the kind of requirements, the widening participation criteria website links, the grades that are required for it, like things they look at in the application, stuff like that, in one whole document for all the medical schools in the country that they have information available for. And that is an incredible document. There's it's been about, like, every year they have a new document coming out for the last 2 to 3 years. I so wish 7 years ago when I applied to med school, I had that document. So have a look. The Medical Schools Council website, they have a document there for, like, university med schools in general and their entry requirements and stuff like that. Have a look at that before you apply to any of the med schools and just familiarize yourself. if you search Medical Schools Council on, I'm going to do it right now, Medical Schools Council in Google, and then you type in like entry requirements or something like that, and then there's loads of entry requirement stuff, and there's like competition ratios, there's, oh my god, everything is there. It's amazing. Please go on it. If you guys go on, I can't copy and paste it in right now for you guys, but do go on the website, and if you guys send the link to Medmentor, and we'll put it somewhere as well, and we'll probably be on the website. Okay. Ooh. Hey, Anne, thank you for your questions. These are some mad questions for me. I'm happy to answer them. So, first question I've got from Anne is, ooh, there we go. Okay, the first question I've got from Anne is, do you think you're ready to be a doctor? Lol. Well, you know what? I think it's an everyday question. Every medical student asks themselves, and obviously you ask yourself more in final year, seeing as in a couple of months, come August, hopefully, I'll be fully fledged F1. I'd say I am ready to finish medical school, and I think I am ready to become a doctor as an F1 because of the fact that 6 years of med school has exposed me to a lot of science and medicine that I need to know. I technically do and should have access in my head or somewhere in my notes to everything that I should theoretically know about medical school, and I have passed those exams and I've done fine, and I've not had like problems with it. I want to be a doctor as well. That's another aspect of it, having that positive mindset towards it. But don't get it wrong, I'm not being arrogant in the fact that I'm ready to be a doctor and know everything. I think I'm ready to be a doctor to learn more on the job as an F1. And I think that's what a lot of people who are applying to medical school and going through med school needs to have in the back of their mind, is that you're not going through medical school to become a consultant in everything in medicine. At the end of it, at the end of 5 or 6 years, you're going through medical school to make sure you have your basic skills, knowledge, ready for you to make a good and safe doctor, that you can treat a patient in a controlled environment within a team with help from seniors, with help from the internet sites and things like that, and resources that you can then apply to patients. And very rarely will you be the only person between you and another patient and like obscure difficulties like with their health, or like a very difficult scenario. Like that doesn't happen and shouldn't happen, because there are regulations in place. It might be naive of me to say all these things, seeing as I'm not a doctor yet, and I'm sure some F1s would like to say otherwise. But yeah, I think I'm looking forward to being a doctor, and I am ready to be a doctor post final exams after doing the last bits of knowledge and skills requirements signed off. But I have the mindset that I'm ready, and I think you do get to that mindset after 5 or 6 years of being a student. I think student life is amazing, but also at the same time you want to do what you wanted to do kind of for the last 6, 7, sometimes for some people all your life, is to become that doctor and to have those responsibilities. So yeah, hopefully that's a nice answer for you. Hey Marab, it's good to see you, bro. I hope you're doing all right. I'm doing good, thank you. And the next question that Anne has asked. Thank you for your question. These are amazing questions. Did you still have to do placements during the lockdown? No, all placements were cancelled from all Medicaid from March, summertime, I think. But we still had online learning and we still had exams online. That was fun. That was last lockdown. This lockdown, all medical school placements are still on. They're probably just less in terms of exposure time or teaching quality, maybe from doctors, because obviously, understandably, NHS is very stretched right now. But also a lot of medical students are volunteering as well. So we do have placements, but we're doing a lot around that. And yes, we are still doing placements basically, which is daunting for some, and thrilling for others, and there's always two ways to look at it, I think. But yeah, it's a difficult time. I hope everyone is doing okay. All right, I've got some more questions. Hey, another aspiring medic asked that question, and I think someone already asked that. So yeah, how are you feeling, inshallah, transitioning to being an F1 during the pandemic? And okay, during the pandemic is a joke thing, because hopefully the pandemic is gone after summer. Because I think people who did FIY1s really enjoyed doing that, because it was good exposure for them before becoming a proper full-on F1 doctor. So that was quite interesting to get that feedback. And I think FIY1, the interim F1s from last year, that was a very good scheme. I don't think that's coming back this year. And I'm hoping not, because then that will mean that the NHS is really being really at breaking point, I think, if it happens again. But yeah, transitioning, what I'd say to everyone, I think, is I remember being in year 12, year 13, and I remember meeting final year medical students through like UCL Target Medicine or like other outreach programs, or like final year medical students, and I was just like, whoa, that's mad. They've gone through a whole 5-6 years. They must know everything. They're about to be doctors. That's crazy. Like all of this stuff. Like they're grown ups. They've got everything together. And now I'm a final year medical student, and I don't have all my stuff together. And I don't know the answer to like every single medical question out there in the world. And nor do I have that expectation that I do. So one thing I'd say to all of you guys throughout your next few years on your journey through med school is don't worry. Like, just because you don't learn this one fact doesn't mean that this patient will die in 10 years time because you don't know this fact. Like, that's not a thing. Don't worry yourself like that, because I think I stressed myself out very early on that. There are mechanisms in place, and you're part of an organization and a team, and medical school, and then training years as you go up to becoming a consultant / GP. You will have plenty of training, plenty of teaching, plenty of opportunities, work experiences, everything that will help you. Everything will help you to become that great doctor, and it's all stepwise. Like, one day you're not just going to wake up and you're like, oh, I know everything. It's going to be very slow, and it's going to be a lifelong learning curve. I think that's something that you guys have all heard before, but it really is. Medicine is all about lifelong learning. And that starts from you guys right now in year 12 and 13 who are about to apply, all the way to me at the end of my med school, all the way to consultants who are still learning on their job at 50, 60 years old, some of them. So the other thing that I've got is from Riaz. Riaz has asked, in interviews for med school, will they ask on-the-spot questions to do with biochem physics? No, they will not ask those type of questions at all. There is no science in normal medical school interviews. The only science-based questions that will come up will be in Oxford or Cambridge interviews. And in those interviews, yes, they can ask those questions. But in all other medical schools, no scientific questions will be asked on your A-level stuff or medicine or anything like that in general. It's more about personality, work experiences, things you're interested in medicine, all of that. All right, guys, get your questions in. We've got another 10 minutes. I'll finish at 7:05. But yeah, do you get your questions in? I hope you guys have enjoyed this live session. I know I have, so thank you for your questions. I've got another question from Anne. Thank you for another question. From what you've seen, what has the impact of COVID been on the NHS? Good question. I know I can search it and it's all over, but it's cool to hear from med students. Yeah, that's fine. That's why I'm here. I'm here to answer all your questions. I think right now, the impact of COVID right now is really tough on the NHS. Things are kind of getting out of hand because number one, okay, so the first pandemic, no one had any idea how high the peak was going to be, and it was a disaster scenario, and we were lucky that when we did hit the peaks, we still had extra capacity in the NHS. However, this is now the second / third peak like lockdown, peak, pandemic wave, and I think things are much worse than the first wave in the sense that, in terms of numbers, in terms of disease severity as well for a lot of people, and the need of spare capacity in the system. And I think that is the issue. There is minimal spare capacity left in ITU beds, in hospital like bays, and like things like that, just because people are being overwhelmed with COVID. When even during the winter time, the NHS is stretched anyway without COVID. So that's why things are doubling up right now, and it's in January, and that is kind of the worst time for something like a pandemic to peak right now. So I think doctors very much are struggling with that. Forget even doctors there. I'm talking about healthcare professionals and staff in general. I think a lot of them feel burnt out because they didn't have a proper break after the first pandemic, because NHS is still running, it's still constant. People still need their routine surgeries. People are still getting ill. People are still getting heart attacks, stuff like that. And we were already at breaking point prior to the pandemic. I think the pandemic made it worse, but during that time period, we all got together and got through it. But then after the pandemic, during the summertime, or like after the first wave during the summertime, things were supposed to ease off, but that's when things actually increased in workload, because there are loads of things to catch up on, like elective surgeries, for example, just hospital stuff that happen normally. And then obviously now this pandemic is here, and I think there's a lot more doom and gloom and negative energy around that. But yeah, so I mean, from first hand like point of view, I've been off med school for the last 3 weeks because of holidays and stuff. So we haven't seen how bad things are getting in the hospital per se, because we've been on holidays or not been around. But right now, as we're speaking, things are kind of really, really bad. And there's loads of medical students who are volunteering in wards to do actual work as like healthcare assistants or nursing roles. People are working in ITU, and these are medical students. So our placement is being disrupted because of the fact that the NHS needs extra hands kind of right now. Hopefully that shouldn't last for more than a couple of weeks if this peak that we're at kind of starts going down, and hopefully that will happen as the lockdowns effect kind of gets hit on patient numbers, and then less people get COVID and less people get admitted. But yeah, and it's a long answer, but impact of COVID has been very intense on healthcare staff in general, resources. We're not running out completely of everything in the world. Like, it's not like disaster to the point that like no one will be treated, but very difficult decisions are being made right now, I think, in many hospitals. And that's what we're seeing from people who are on the front lines, friends and family who are like med students and doctors, and nurses and healthcare professionals in general are saying those things. So yeah, and hopefully I've answered that question to you to an extent. What would you tell your medical year one self? And that's a very good question. I would tell them a lot about what I spoke about today. I'd say, first of all, that you are good enough to be an amazing doctor. You will get through medical school because you will work hard, and you will enjoy yourself through medical school, and don't feel intimidated by things around you, by people around you, by institutions, or like medicine as a whole. Like, do not feel intimidated is the first thing I think I'd say to myself, because that's what I did feel. As soon as I got into UCL Med School, it was amazing. I had loads of fun. I really enjoyed myself in the first, and especially first year, because you're getting to meet all your friends and really socializing, and like doing a lot of work with that, and developing your extracurriculars and your interests. So enjoy that. And I did. I definitely. So I don't need to tell myself to do that, but I think I need to tell my first year self that don't get into this impossible environment feeling that you're not good enough to be there, because I did feel like a few times, a lot of the times in my last 6 years of med school, will I ever make a good doctor? Will I ever get through med school? Yeah, for me has been about, let's survive this year of med school and get through to the next year to then become closer to become. And I think that was just my mindset. I obviously did the most of med school where I could, and I did loads of things, and I'd encourage you to do that. I think always in the back of my mind is that question, am I really? And I think that stretches all the way back from when I basically someone from a state school who didn't know any doctors or medical students, and I just didn't know if I could ever become a doctor. And I think that's the insecurity that I had from, let's say, year 9, when I made that decision that I want to try and go to become a medical student and become a doctor. And I think I carried that through way too much. It's good to have that to humble you a little bit, but at the same time, don't let that be to your detriment. You are good enough to make an incredible doctor, and just remember that and believe in yourself. That's what I tell any first year who'd get into medical school, especially myself. Hey, Roshan, not interview related, but are you due or have you had a COVID vaccine? So, no, Roshan, I am due a COVID vaccine, yes, through through not through the medical school directly, but through the hospital trust that I'm working in for the med school, or like doing placement on during the work during med school. And I think most hospital trusts have said by 18th of February or something like that, or maybe that's UCL, but by like mid to end of February, all healthcare professionals, I think across the country, the government have said they want them to be like immunized, and that includes medical students and hopefully nursing students and stuff, as we're part of the healthcare workforce. We're part of those frontline key workers, because that's what we're part of. So yeah, fingers crossed I get my COVID vaccine soon, but I think I'm just in a very privileged position to be even able to say that. So yeah. Hey, Roshan works in the NHS in Scotland. Amazing, Roshan. Thank you for working throughout the pandemic, man, and good luck with everything. And yes, you're getting your vaccine. I'm very happy to hear that. Well done. Make sure you post it on your social so we can all see. And next week, hopefully, you'll be COVID immunized. What would you tell your first yourself? I answered that. How did you get over this imposter syndrome from Anne? I think I got over it through a lot of self-reflection with the work that I do in general. I think what I did is I didn't just dedicate. Oh, now going back. So how did I overcome my imposter syndrome? I overcame it by not just doing medicine at university. I kind of overcame it by showing myself that I've got other values. I'm not just a medic. I have more to me. And therefore I didn't have to just obsess over, yeah, I'm just gonna have to go through med school, blah blah blah. I kind of enjoyed my time. I made good friends. I got involved with organizations, societies. I got myself busy with being active in things that I enjoy, and that helped me develop skills on one side that actually were very transferable, whether I was a president of a society or I just kind of organized a football game for a charity tournament or something. Sorry, I hope I'm still there. There we go. Yeah. So I think I just transferred skills that I gained in different aspects of university to medicine, and that helped me overcome my imposter syndrome. And more about realizing I overcame it by getting through each year of med school. I think it's just one of those things. Like it's like, yes, I got through first year, so I'm probably going to get through second year, and then I got through second year. It's like that was the hardest part of med school. I'm probably going to get through the rest of it, and then obviously things, the stresses increase, and imposter syndrome kind of creeps in more and more when you get close to exams, for me personally. But like yeah, in general, that was that. Okay, guys, I've got a few questions here from Tuli Kanahar. Thank you for your questions. I'm gonna go in like 5 minutes, so if I don't answer any of your questions by then, please do bring them bring them onto our next week Saturday 6 p.m. Medmentor live weekly session. So let me just answer one from another aspiring medic. Sorry about the connection problems. All right. Okay. Okay, so another aspiring medic asks, I've heard that there are dissection and embalming, example, formaldehyde till. Yes, there are different forms of dissection and embalming and stuff. That's cool that you know that. Fair play. I think the body that we did full body dissection at UCLMS second year, and formaldehyde. I remember it is because formaldehyde makes you hungry as a smell, and that is the most messed up thing, because obviously we do a 3-hour dissection session, and at the end of the 3-hour dissection session, we all feel really hungry and then go to KFC and have food. Just because that. But yeah, that is, you've heard correctly. Although I don't know that much. Pohey asks, what does the range of 70, 90, 99% for the Oxford vaccine mean? Why is there such a range? Is the 95% for the Pfizer vaccine after one dose? Hi, Pohey. I think I'm finding it very difficult to see your question. So regarding the vaccine, the range of 70 to 99% is just from their trial. So like some people so for example, if we say 90%, that is 9 out of 10 people. So for out of every 9 out of 10 people who got the vaccine in any given room, 9 out of 10 of them, if they got in contact with COVID, they did not develop COVID symptoms and therefore didn't have the COVID virus. Let's say that's what that means. But out of that 9 out of 10, one of those 10 people maybe developed COVID symptoms and got COVID even though they had the vaccine. So that's what it means in terms of, put the percentages, I think in my head I put it in like fractions to make it easier when I think out loud. So like if it's 70%, it's 7 out of 10 people were immunized and didn't get COVID, but 3 out of 10 of them did. Is the 95% for Pfizer after 1 or 2 doses? I'm not too sure about that. I think the Pfizer vaccine and the Oxford one in my head are now confused because all the data has come out all similar times. I think after 1 dose, after 10 days to like 2 weeks, some of them said that that you were 90% like 90% kind of immune to COVID or something, but I don't remember which one that was. I'd encourage you to just look on BBC News Health, because I think they have really good articles breaking it down, and it's worthwhile for you to know for your own knowledge as well as for med school interviews and things like that. Good question about the vaccine. Sorry I couldn't answer in detail, but it is what it is. All right, okay, I'm gonna answer the last few questions and I'm gonna run because I need to leave, unfortunately. So guys, Tuli Kanahan, what are some ethics about vaccine being released to publics? Which vaccine would you recommend getting? I wouldn't recommend any vaccine because I don't know exactly what is what. I'd say they're both good because they've both been MHRA, I think, approved. So I take either one I can get. And what are some ethics about vaccine being released to public? I don't know about ethics there, because I think the vaccine is optional to everyone. You don't have to have it. So people do have autonomy on it. And I think when it comes to the 4 ethical principles, I think it's quite just. The advantages outweigh any of the disadvantages in terms of side effects or risks and stuff. Of obviously, you want to get COVID, you want to get yourself immune. Sorry, I haven't answered your answer. Next week, and I answer it. And the last few. Else. So it's MMI. Thanks, Tafsir. Been a tough year, but feeling very encouraged everyone to accept whatever vaccine they are offered. I couldn't have said it better myself. For your message, and wishing you all the best, and everyone out there on the front lines as well, who do come to see it, and all the best for the next few weeks, especially ahead. How could you eat that? It doesn't make imposter syndrome just from getting an interview. If you got an interview, think of it like the format UCLMS. got they think I'm smart enough to become a medical student. I'm going to go into the interview and I'm going to show I'm the medical student that they need in their medical school. I'm going to make and go and approach it like that. Okay, and Roshan, for your there, I would recommend looking up King Gutter, but she has lots of highlights about the company and works in the research. It's brilliant. Thank you very much. Guys, I'm going to wrap here. I think I had one other question from Kiana. To choose what doctor you want to be, like any quizzes or research we can do. I think I need to look at those quizzes, and I will get back to you next week on that, Kiana. Tips for a group discussion task. I think I answered earlier today, so check out this Insta Live as an IGTV Live, because that's how I'll save it just as soon as I go. Thank you guys so much, Roshan, Niam, and Dr. Atalophobia, Pohe. Thank you guys for getting involved. Tuli, and your comments, your questions. I really appreciate it. You guys have made my weekend by being here with me today. Hopefully, I've been able to provide some insight with my answers, and I hope you guys have enjoyed it. I will be back next week at 6 p.m. Another Aspiring Medic. Thank you for coming and joining again as well. I really appreciate it. I'll be back at 6 p.m. Next week across all our social sites on Medmentor Live. In the meantime, if you want to look on our Medmentor website, we have loads of resources there that the Medmentor team have worked really hard to kind of get to you guys. Please do share the word about Medmentor to your friends and people that you know applying to medical school, because we want to help as many of you guys as possible to get into med school, because you guys are all going to make amazing doctors one day. The next IGTV Live is next Saturday at 6 p.m. I'll be back here answering your questions, Kiana, and hopefully I'll get back to you if you remind me as well when you're there. Roshan, thank you as well for your time, and and I'm very happy that we've hopefully helped you out for your med school into the month. Hey guys, good luck with everything. Enjoy your week, and I will see you next week. And I will see you all next. Thank you guys so much. Take care.